Welcome back to the NITE Economics YouTube channel, and today we're going to be looking at the price of oil. If you're liking the content, please subscribe to the channel, drop a like, and let's get into today's video. So what I'm looking at is pretty much why I think oil is going to continue to be bullish and is going to continue to show strength into Q2, Q3, and possibly even into the end of this year. If we go back all the way to this time period right here, this big spike here, this was during the Gulf War. So this was in 1990. So the war was like, essentially it was ramping up, and I think it officially the war officially began in July of 1990, and it continued to escalate for several months until the price of oil peaked over here in October of 1990, and pretty much the price of oil went from the bottom here in June 1990 to the high here, which was at, what was that, 41.15 was the high, and the low was like 15 bucks. So let's just call it from 15 bucks to 41 bucks it went. So it did almost a 3x during this time period, and it's during a similar time period in I guess, I don't know, international affairs where there's wars going on, and this was like a similar type of war with I think it was the attack of Kuwait, or was it I forget, but anyways, I think it's either Iran was attacked or Iran attacked Kuwait, whatever, it doesn't matter, but a war happened, oil was involved, a lot of oil was burnt, oil refineries were burnt or destroyed to my understanding, and it caused this massive spike in the price of oil. Mind you, this was kind of during a time also when oil was kind of literally coming down from a high, consolidating, came down a bit more, and then it broke out. So that's something to take into consideration. It was during a period of consolidation. But if we turn on, if you see some of my videos and we turn on when all the recessions happened, it was right in the middle of a recession, which is very, very interesting. Very, very interesting. Then it kind of leads to the idea of where I said that maybe we're possibly already in a recession right now, or at least heading into one. But anyways, that's not what this video is about. But anyways, let's turn that off. So you could see oil did pretty much almost a 3x. It did like a 2.73x. And right now, oil is behaving in a very similar fashion. If oil was to reach a or go up 100, it went up 163%, something like that. 163. Let's call it 165 to keep it nice and even. For oil to go back up to that price, 165. It's pretty much at the previous all-time high. The previous all-time high of oil was right here back in 2008. And it was 147 bucks. So it pretty much put us back. Let me put a line there. Put us back at the previous all-time high of 147 bucks. And from current price action, oil would have to go up about 40% more in order to do that. So that's one reason why I'm very bullish on oil during a similar political environment. Oil had a big breakout, and I wouldn't be surprised if it get back to all-time highs. So that's one reason. The second reason is if we look at the 2-week time frame, I'm a big fan of the 2-week time frame. We just had a silver cross to the upside. That was. I guess it officially crossed over this week, at the start of this week. And if you look at every single time oil has had a silver cross to the upside, not if you include these ones because it's in and out, the moving averages are they're like bunched up together, so I wouldn't count this in a downtrend. We're talking about a breakout, right? So that's what I'm looking at specifically. So we see here that it crossed to the upside. Here, similar thing, crosses up to the upside, and once it crosses to the upside from the low to the high, we had 125% move. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen this time, but just to keep this in your mind that it had a 125% move from when the cross happened. Here's another example of it, right? We have a cross to the upside here at the bottom, right here on January 18th, sorry, January 2018, and it made a move, a 20. It doesn't look like a big move, but that's a 20, almost a 30% move, a 28% move to the upside. So what do we have there? 128, 28, and these don't happen very often. So this is why I think we're gonna have a pretty decent move here. You had another one in here. It's a little bit hard to see because it's all bunched up. Well, it's right here, right? So it crosses up. So we have the cross, right? From here to here, it crosses up. The bottom here, and this is in March 2010. And you had a 42, almost a 43% move to the upside. So what was the first one? 128, 28, 42.8. Maybe I should type these out somewhere. I will in a sec, actually. So we could get an average of that move. Here's another one over here. I'm not going to measure it to the top because that's like 6 years or so. But anyways, so we have the cross to the upside, the silver cross right here. So another, what was that? A 51% move. You have this one right here as well. %, move, and you could check this for yourself. This is a two week time frame on it's a crude oil index essentially. So you could see that it constantly, every time we have the silver cross to the upside, we have a big move to the upside. Sure, you didn't get the move right from the bottom, but I don't think that really matters, right? I think that it's still a good opportunity, right? So if we catch this move from when the cross happens, the smallest one, 28% to the upside, brings us to, it's very interesting, to this previous high right here, from when the upside started, from when the cross started, right? So at the bottom of this bar brings us to this previous high. If we get the other one, then we had one that was 128%. Oh, I gotta, let me retake that. Oops. Why did it do that? There we go. So what was that? So 128% to the upside would bring us all the way to, I don't think this is gonna happen, by the way. But actually, you never know. You never know, but that would take us all the way to $227 per. That would be insane. I think that's gonna be the end of the world if that were to happen. Not kidding. I'm kind of kidding, but kind of not kidding. I don't think it really be the end of the world, but it will be presented that way to us on the news. Anyways, 28% move to the upside brings us to this previous high. A 40% move, which I think is very likely to happen. That's pretty much in store with what I've said previously, based off of what happened last time we were in a war and how much oil moved. I think getting to the all-time high at this point is kind of almost a no-brainer, and it's still a 47% move. I think regardless, these are pretty decent moves, and yeah, so I would say somewhere between 28%, somewhere between this previous high here, the all-time high, and somewhere in there. I'm not gonna say 128%. I'm not gonna say 200 and whatever that was. What was that? 28%. $227. But who knows? Who knows? We've seen stranger things. If you could remember, if you were around paying attention during this wick down here during the Corona situation, when oil went negative. So I mean, anything could happen, right? I really think anything could happen nowadays. Like. So don't be surprised. Don't be surprised if strange things happen. We live in a simulation. So I don't know if we live in a simulation, but sometimes it sure seems that way. So yeah, so then we're looking at that too. Another thing to point out is that every time we have this cross to the upside, you usually get some sort of a pullback before you get the breakout. So you have this cross to the upside right here, and it happens. So it literally happened here. So the month, or this is a month, the 2 week opened up here, and then it dropped off reconnected with the 5 exponential moving average, then it broke out. And this happens every single time too, right? So just to be aware, so the cross happened officially here. It continued to go up for a little bit, then it came down. You see how it's separated? You see how the candle separated from the from the 5 exponential moving average. So you get a pullback. It reconnects with the with the red exponential moving average, the 5 exponential moving average. Then it continues to the upside. So there's likely going to be, I think there's likely going to be a pullback, and I think that for a couple of reasons. This is one of the reasons for it as well. But I'll give my other reason in a sec. So you get this here again. We get the silver cross to the upside officially here. Then we get a bigger pullback, then it moves up to the upside. So this happens as well every time. Every time we have the cross, we get a pullback. We either get a reconnection with the exponential, with the 5 exponential moving average, then it moves to the upside, or you get a bigger, sometimes even quite a bigger dump. So it actually moves below from where the entry point was when the silver cross happened. And I think this is an example of that. Yeah. So right here, we have the exponential, we have the silver cross right here, and then it dumps below, then it comes up, right? So, but regardless, you always get a big move to the upside, whether you have that, well, you do have the dump. It just depends how big the dump is. I don't think it's going to be very big this time around, but who knows, right? So we have the cross here, officially here, comes up a little bit more, it comes down, but it still doesn't get as low as the entry point, and then it continues to the upside. And then you could test this out for yourself. You don't take my word for it. I encourage you to look at this chart yourself. Again, it's the CFDS on WTI crude oil chart, the 2-week. And then we'll finish by looking at the 24 or the daily chart here. And this is why I think there could potentially be a little bit of a pullback to start April. And that's really because we're pretty much on bearish divergence here. We have one, I guess you could say, yeah, this high here, right, on the 24, on the daily, right? Then we have, this high here. We have another one here, another one here. Now I don't know how significant some of these are. I would say probably the significant one is probably this high here, and then this most recent high. So we have this high here on the RSI, this one here, this one, and then this one, I think, are the significant ones. And you have a little bit of bearish divergence there, right? So you got to pull back down to the, let's just say, the 21 exponential moving average. I think is very possible. I think I would say somewhere between like 91, 90, and maybe as low as a wick down to like 86, 85, and then it comes up. And I think this is gonna happen to open up April, and then we're gonna see that big move to the upside, hitting the target of the previous high of. And actually, it pretty much coincides with this high right here. But the previous high that we had, what was that? Like, I think it was in 20, whatever. This high over here, 2022 high, and then eventually, I think he'll hit the all-time high, which was set back in 2008, if memory serves correctly. I'm pretty sure it's 2008. Anyways, this thing's not working. But yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 2008. Let's go into here on the, when was that? Yeah, 2008, April 2008. Oh, that's interesting. April 2008. So yeah, so maybe we get an all-time high in April of 2026, a new all-time high. So that's all I have for today's video. Again, if you're liking the content, drop a like, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you guys next time. Take care. Bye.